Hello, beautiful angels. We are becoming truly angelic human beings. And that is our design as we embody our divine self. This is the best time on this planet, and it will only get better because the divine self is now available to us like never before since the fall of our structure, the fall of the physical body into kind of separate existence, meaning feeling as if the human being truly was the body, as if the birth and the death really was what defines the human being. Yesterday, we worked with a wonderful quote from Yogananda, which was truly describing this beautiful structure of the divine self. And every day now, when you meditate, you will be receiving new revelations from your divine self. And so I will again just read the quote from Yogananda that we worked with yesterday because it's so powerful, explaining this so much. And let us just look at a picture of the divine self. So we have so many different pictures, but I, like this one, but also I've been working with Daniel Holman. Daniel Holman is a wonderful visionary artist. Many of you know Daniel. One year we brought him also to the World Congress on Illumination and he presented. Maybe you know Daniel. He created the 1111 video that our team sponsored. And that video also for the alignment of the axis of the world, which really aligned the axis of the world last year on 11/11. Absolutely revolutionary what we participated in. That video Patricia also wants to show at the World Congress of Illumination. So again, a huge thank you to all of you who, of course, and that is all of you, who've been supporting this mission energetically and in all other ways. But if anyone can put Daniel, it's just one L, Daniel Holman. And so I met Daniel many, many years ago. And actually, it was my divine self who told me about Daniel. This is, how we can actually then just constantly have information. And so my divine self came to me, and came to me means made a connection in a way that I could hear and told me, yeah, you need to find this guy. His name is Daniel Holman. So, this is how precise it can be. And so I found Daniel, and again, this is many years ago. And so we started to co-create some of these divine images. And so the way that we work, Daniel has the tools, I have the vision. And so I always tell him, we make drafts and improve, improve, improve until it is exactly how it needs to be. And so last night, I think we finalized this beautiful image of the divine self. And you see, this is a completely new one, so no one has seen it yet. This one has those little beautiful like sparkles of light that come from the divine self through the 12th aspect that is aligned as the opal light, the little stars, the shimmering light, and of course the sound I am. And just seeing this and having this as part of your consciousness, it's really important, take a picture of it as well. We do this completely, I would say selflessly, but that's because the divine self doesn't have a self, it is for the service, the well-being, for the joy, for the enlightenment of all of us together. And so definitely just use it, work with it, align with it, meditate with it. I will bring it also to the World Congress on Illumination. So let's go back to the beautiful, I know I was talking about the video that we co-created, but here is the image. So the divine self is here. And now the quote of Yogananda. Through Maya and humanity's consequent ignorance of their soul, human consciousness became isolated from cosmic consciousness. The mind of a human being, the man and the woman, became subject to change, to limitations. But the cosmic consciousness is always free from all restrictions. It is never involved in the experience of duality. The consciousness of the divine self is never involved in the experience of death and life. It is never involved in the experience of disease or health. It is never involved in the experience of fleeting sorrow or joy. Because in the mind of the divine self, there is the unchangeable perception of bliss. Now, this, of course, is huge. It describes everything we have been speaking about as the divine self. When I meet with someone and, I always share, like in the morning, do whatever you can, all the practices that you have to actually become your divine self. The divine self will give you signs. The divine self might, when you then have clairaudience and clairvoyance, you will just hear and see. But until then, it could be little signs, just feeling incredible peace or feeling bliss, feeling ecstasy. These feelings, they are so big, but they can also be very subtle. Can be just energy, constant like bubbling of the divine energy within you, inspiration, just like levity, lightness, the big picture. The divine self is the big picture. And so when I do my practices in the morning, I do it until the divine self clicks in. And only when it clicks in, which means for me, I have to see the light coming through me, then I know, okay, now I can start the day really, because it doesn't start until it starts. And so then when it starts, you are moved, you are inspired, you are guided. There is like no, anything else. It just is the divine self moving through you, which is all of us have the same purpose. And I know that all of you who are on these calls are exactly on this very accelerated path of embodying your divine self. Sometimes it's just partial, sometimes it is complete. But when it is complete, it is not done. That's when the fun really begins. That is when the fun really begins. Until then, it is getting there. But once it happens, and you really just, I'm sorry, I always repeat the same things because to me, repetition is really good because that's how it sticks. You just never know when it happens. When this happened to me, I never expected anything like this to happen. It was just one normal weekend. The family was gone. I thought I'm just going to sit down and meditate like I always do, you know, and then it clicked in unexpectedly. The voice of the divine self sounded. And when it sounded, it had all the answers. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's this amazing aspect of the being. It didn't even feel like me, because it doesn't even feel like you. And why doesn't it feel like you? Because you can imagine the difference between the divine self and the human self. The difference is, as Yogananda said, the human self thinks about joy and sorrow, thinks about life and death, thinks about all these health and, disease. That is the human self. And then you bring in the divine self that has never, ever been involved in any of it, then that is a huge difference. So it truly is, some mystics experience the clicking. And when I always say mystics and yogis, da 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 da, it's everywhere around the world. It is not just one tradition. I just heard about the Bushmen in Africa, the Sun people, I think they called, in Botswana, and how they experience exactly the same thing. And they get there through ecstatic sound and dance and clapping. And then they start feeling the clicking and they make the clicking sounds with their bodies. It comes out of them. They start clicking. To me, that's the serpent moving through us, making the clicking sounds, and then it reconnects to the divine self. So, it is for all of us on this planet. It doesn't matter what tradition we follow, if any at all, because it's our human design, human divine design. So, when I in the morning do my practices, I always try to think of it as a holistic approach. Since I'm in a body right now, but the divine self is not in the body, but the divine self wants to shine the light fully and completely, the divine self doesn't become like affected by any of this at all. It always is what it is. I am that I am. It never changes. And because it never changes, the light doesn't change either. It just is. Yeah. And because it just is, it is the luminous sun. And in our world, we do have the physical sun that very much represents the divine self. So when we mimic nature, when we study nature, we can definitely figure out the divinity behind it. And so the divinity behind it is just like the sun shines just without any conditions upon all, so does the divine self shine without any conditionality upon you. It just shines. Whether we align with it and receive it is actually that free will which we have. And so it is the free will here, and that is the most important choice. Align or not align. Follow certain processes that serve you or not. And so for me, it's a very holistic thing, meaning, number one, I want to get the body ready. So the body needs to stretch. It needs to be flexible. And it doesn't mean that you need to be an acrobat, but whatever stretching means to you, allow the meridians, the channels, the spine to be open to receive that light which is shining upon you. So the light is shining no matter what, especially these days, perfectly. And we just follow something to get into alignment. At the physical level, you know that we have 12 major chakras. We have 12 major meridians, energy channels, but we also have 12 major physical systems in the body: cardiovascular, skeletal. We have our endocrine system, and all these systems, we have 12 of them. Now, as you know, we are beings who were created through the principle of 12, 12 systems, 12 layers, 12 chakras. And so all of this is by design. Yes, all the system, lymphatic system, of course. And so each system is connected to our divine self. That's how spirit can express its light through a form that is the physical body. This is why we say you were created in the image of God. This is what it means. 12 aspects of divinity channeled through the 12 chakras into the 12 meridians to the 12 systems of the physical body. So it's profound. Spirit into form. Now, I use the physical one to start with in the morning, connecting with your divine self, stretching a little bit, sounding a sound, ohms. I like freezing cold showers because it's also good to put a little bit of, cold water on your spine to electrify yourself. This actually helps with increasing our magnetism. So our magnetism is increased through all these practices. And when we have more magnetism, we have a better field that allows us to be independent, meaning independent in this world, not having interference from lower frequencies, vibrations, and from also things that could distort our electromagnetic field. I find it fascinating at the physical level. For example, the cold showers, the chanting of ohms, the stretching, doing a little bit of qigong, breathing through the spine, all of that magnetizes you. It creates more magnetism around you. The healthy food, the fresh organic food, the fresh spring water, and so on and so on. But that is just one aspect of it. Again, it's a holistic approach. to be able to address everything with sound, with movement, with vibration, frequency, and consciousness. Then the next step, of course, would be I like to do some mantras. And so not only the Om, but I personally really love the sky mantra. And so I sing the sky mantra every morning and then go outside barefoot. Going outside barefoot at the beginning of the day adds again massive amount of planetary and solar electromagnetic energy to your field. The goal every day is to become the juicy apple. The juicy apple that we are meant to be able to access higher dimensional states, because we are multidimensional beings. But if I'm going to be depleted like this prune here on the left, I simply will have no access to higher realms, and that would be missing out. I had an experience several years ago where I was entering a higher realm, and they have like guardians of the realms. And this was so fascinating. The guardian, and she was a female being, and she would be actually examining my form, meaning not the physical body, but the emanation. And she was telling me and explaining to me, and this was the first time this was actually explained to me, that one has to be a perfect sphere to enter the realm where I was entering. And the sphere is, of course, the light body created through our consciousness, through our vibration, through our frequency. But because I'm a being right now in a physical form here, whatever I do in terms of my divinity, of course, creates this field. And so they would only allow the entrance to perfect spheres. You know, it's just really a fun fact how you benefit then. So the last few days, I've been doing a lot of work on the electromagnetic field of my being just to see, like, how far can you get? And it was fascinating because last night I got to meet face to face with an Elohim. An Elohim I have never ever met before in my entire life consciously. I don't know how, maybe, we meet unconsciously with these beings, but consciously for the first time. And again, what I've been doing a lot is building the golden light body. And and just for the fun to mention the name of the Elohim, it was Elohim Vista. Never ever have you heard me speak about Elohim Vista, because I know nothing about Elohim Vista. But it was so fun that the electromagnetic field and all that we do all day led to encounter with, a being that maybe normally would not be available. Yeah, Patricia surely met Elohim Vista. And so this is just to say that all that we do here with the divine self leads to better self-realization, meaning having better access to your whole self. Now, when I do all these practices and then I'm speaking to a person, I'm speaking to their divine self. And that's so much better than talking to the human self, because at the level of the human self, of course, you don't get, the fullness of the being. At the level of the divine self, you get the fullness. Now, this is fascinating because I always learn from the divine self of others. As we are anyway all one divine self, all just one cosmic presence, it's like having a lot of aspects of the one divine self speaking to you. And so I will tell you what I learned from another's divine self today, because it blew my mind. So I'm talking to the divine self of another, learning. And the divine self says to me, I am the Alpha and Omega. I am the beginning and the end. And I just was blown away by that. Because, of course, we heard Jesus speak about himself as the Alpha and Omega. We heard Jesus, according to the Bible, speak about himself as the beginning and the end. Now, hopefully this blows your mind as well. And this is the next step of the revelation happening here. Because since Uncle Jesus, whose real name was Issa, was one with his divine self, then he was speaking as his divine self, as the Alpha and Omega, as the beginning and the end. And again, hi, Mary, we love you. And so, why did this blow my mind so much? I will tell you, there is another level of depth being revealed here. Do you know the Ouroboros, the serpent connected to her own tail that is within the divine self, the beginning and the end? The Alpha is the beginning, the Omega is the end. Why would anyone call themselves, I am the beginning and the end? Only when we are one with the divine self and we no longer associate with the person, which we know Issa, we will have to rename our uncle. Issa is the son of the mother, Isis, of the mother, the cosmic mother nature. You know, we have these sacred syllables, so it's kind of fun. All of this will be revealed to us. But again, it's just details. It's not a big deal. But the big deal is, just like Yogananda, Yogananda looked like this, right? Same structure. One with the divine self. So when Yogananda or Jesus spoke about their human body, they did not identify with the body as themselves. Again, Yogananda would say, this body was born in India. He would not say, I was born in India. And so this structure, the top, the sun, the Alpha and Omega, is the beginning and the end. But why? And why is it also the Ouroboros? Why is it also the major arcana? If you know what I mean in the tarot cards, the Fool is the beginning and the end. I always wanted to teach about the tarot cards, and I did a little bit, but not the full thing one day. But the Fool is the zero, the beginning. But the Fool has to go through all the major experiences to get to the 22nd one, which is the Aeon, right? The final one, and becomes again the Fool, the beginning and the end, the full circle exactly. And so the serpent biting her tail again creates the beginning and the end, the Alpha and Omega. And yet, a journey was taken, the journey into this realm, but the divine self never changed. And so we are down here, the Fool on a journey. The divine self has never changed. It was there at the beginning, it will be there at the end. Eternally, actually. Nothing is measured in terms of time. But the fun part about this is that the divine self at the beginning has always already contained all the solutions. At the beginning, all the solutions already came into being. All the qualities of the divine self are the beginning and the end. There is no distortion between the beginning and the end. It is one circle. Does that make sense? And so the human ventures down here. This is by design. We descended into form. The human might have many, many problems, but the solutions have always have always remained complete within the divine self. The solutions have never changed because they were birthed right at the beginning already. All has already been given at the level of the divine self. And now, when we return to the divine self, we might say, if that is the end, I'm back in the divine self. But nothing has changed. The Fool returns back to the Fool with immense wisdom and self-realization. And so the unchanging you is the divine self. This is amazing. So yes, we ventured out, we traveled far, maybe even long, but the divine self has always remained the same. The beginning and the end, the Alpha and Omega, the luminous sun within our being. Yes, absolutely. So when our Uncle Issa was speaking about himself, he only was actually speaking as his divine self. And Yogananda was doing the same. He would not sink down into the human so-called consciousness when really it was unconsciousness. And he was always saying, be aware of your structure at all times. What was he saying? Be aware of this multidimensional self that we are, and only speak as the divine self without the human distortions that are so limited and so confused by life and death. The human is very confused, right? By this. I don't want this, but I like that. Oh, I don't like that, but I want that. That's not how the divine self operates, because the divine self says, I am. And that is all there is to it. I am that I am. What a great song. And that just will lead us into this beautiful, beautiful meditation. So this is Karen Drucker. And again, she will be with us in Bodegas. For those of you who are coming, let me show the beautiful picture. And for those of you who are not going to be with us in person, then just know that we will be holding you dearly in our hearts, our light bodies, as we sing along, meditate, and build a beautiful earth altar on the beach of the Pacific Ocean. This is actually a real picture of Bodega Bay. And so it's going to be amazing. And just, gatherings like this, of course, it's nice to be in person. But the thing is, what really happens, it's an alchemical process of coming together, not as the human person, but actually the energy field that we are. And then how does it work? As I am lifted up, all others are lifted up. So whoever comes with the highest energy, meaning in terms of light and geometry and frequency, the highest quotient of light actually sets the tone. And that means the way that it was explained to me by the beings of light is that it's as if we were holding a fisherman's net, and the tallest person raises the net, and then everyone else becomes tall with that lifting. And that's why the collective works this way. And that's why we say where two or more meet, because it is about lifting the web of life. So when one person lifts the standard, all else is lifted up with that. That is the power of the one who connects with the two, meaning now it's so easy to hold the web of life. It's not easy to hold it by yourself. But when you hold it with another or a collective, imagine, and that's what we're actually doing here on this planet. So today we will be meditating with Oren. Now, before we go in, I just wanted to make a little announcement because of, the things that I'm working on in July and August. And so normally I do monthly events, and all of my events are free unless we started working now with Oren, which of course is a different situation, because with Oren, we actually have the permission from the foundation that owns these materials now. And they allow us to do it when all of us get together. We are registered, and it is of course paid material. Now the foundation is asking that you please, if you don't have the album and you want to work with us, do not go to them to register, do not go to them to buy the album, but register through our website greentyre.guru if you want to participate in these so that we are then all registered together as a group of students. That's important. So it's on the website if you want to join. So in July, I will, and again, you can read more about the website, but what I want to announce really is that, I've been making Patricia's videos since, actually, I made all her videos to start with, because it was my guides who told me to find Patricia and to reach out to her when I didn't know she existed. So that's pretty special. So I have to turn off my other computer. So my guides came to me around 2009, 2010, and they told me that Patricia exists, Patricia Cosa Robles. And they said, you need to reach out to her. You need to make videos for her, start her social media, start YouTube, Facebook, who knows what. So I didn't know Patricia at all. You can imagine, like, that's really amazing that the divine self and the guides have this information, of course. And so I started to make Patricia's videos. So that started her YouTube, her Facebook. And so this year is the last year, of course, of the World Congress on Illumination. And it is always the company of heaven. And it is always Divine Mother. It is always Divine Father asking, actually, for these videos to be created, as strange as it sounds. But we need to be anchoring divine energies into some physical tools, whether it is digital or physical. And so this year we have a lot of videos to make again. And so I need at least a month to work on these videos because it's very, very, time. I don't want to say consuming because it's an honor, but it takes a lot of time to make these. So in July, I will be unable to do these Green Tara Zoom calls because I have to work on the videos and make them ready for our World Congress on Illumination. And they are not just videos, of course, So this is the last year, I believe, because of the baptism by fire. Because, it will be done. It will be done. We've been working towards this until we all can embody our divine self. And so when we all can embody our divine self, the new earth comes fully online. So I need to take the entire July off to just work on the videos. And then, of course, it's August, and that means we will be meeting at the World Congress. And so this is our last Green Tara Zoom call like this until we come back from the World Congress on Illumination. I know I will see many of you there. But I received information several days ago that it is important to actually accelerate our evolution. I would never say that if that was not true, because I don't sell stuff, right? We are here in service. And so if you do want to join us, we will do it around the, public holidays here in the US, because I personally don't celebrate any nationalistic or national holidays since we are divine selves. It's all just holiday anyway. And so that hopefully will be a good time for us to meet. The great benefit, of course, for joining, I personally charge $58, which is nothing for the 6 days. It's just my time to actually register all the students, send all the stuff. It's more like administration rather than the teaching. But this is a huge investment in terms of what you will get for that. Because now that we have the permission to work with these tools, if we have them, that means we will continue to do this work as long as we are here on this planet and we have technology where we can share this, and then we can meet for free on a regular basis. My goal is to meet monthly and to be able to accelerate our evolution, increase our inner light, which was the last one that we did. So that's just to explain how this will work.